I, 27 male, think my son's new best friend could be his half brother.
Wow.
I'm not 100% sure, but the similarities are starting to scare me. After graduating from high school, I hooked up with one of the alumni. She was 26, that used to help out at all of the school events. But then I found out she had a boyfriend and we broke up. At the time, me and my ex were already hooking up too, and she got pregnant months after. My son's 7, and he meets a new friend that he hangs out with after school. The kid is like 8-ish because he's a grade above my son. And guess who his fucking mom is? We met a couple of times picking up our kids, and she avoids me. It's not her avoiding me that has me suspicious because, of course, it's awkward. Anyways, with an ex, it's that him and my son have so many similar features. The way that they smile, hair, skin color, the shape of their eyes, and nose are so similar to mine. And everyone in my family always says my son looks exactly like me when I was a kid. Far as I know, haven't heard of any dad around, or her IG doesn't show anyone else. I don't know if this is something to bring up to her at all. We didn't end things well at all, and she hated me even though she was the one who was a cheater to her boyfriend. Should I ask her about it at all, or is this just one of those things to leave alone? I'd hate to think I have a kid out there not to know about, but if it's going to hurt him more, then I'm not sure.
That's the end?
That's the post.
Oh, wow. Okay. Actually, wow.
Yeah, like literally, wow. That's where he left it. He was like really just like looking for advice. Like, what do I do?
It would be quite the coincidence, wouldn't it?
Can you imagine? Like, I think that's so it's so different for like obviously guys compared to girls. Like, you could have a kid out there right now that you don't know about. You could. There is a chance. It's never zero. You had
Oh,
sex.
well, I guess versus a female definitively
Yeah,
knowing
like
what has come out of them.
exactly. Like I know that I don't have children out there, but like guys out there, you can have a kid and
Yeah.
not know.
I guess so. I wonder how common because yeah, in TV
So
shows
wild.
and movie show in movie shows, in TV shows and movies, you see this happen where, it's like Winston finding his dad after forever.
Yeah.
Or
New
like
girl.
I'm just saying like I wonder how common it is for someone to have a kid and know whose it was with them, a female have a kid and knows who the dad was
Yeah.
and then just never. I mean, is there an obligation there? Or does this happen a lot where
Think it
I know and I get it when the dad is either like, some crazy criminal or some awful person, then
Yeah.
I can understand. But
That's
when it's just a
yeah.
normal person, where's the strategy? I guess that you want nothing to do with them. Can you do that? And is that common, I guess?
I don't know if it's super common because I don't know. Maybe there's some people that like don't want any involvement. I think one of the stories that comes up for me and is probably coming up for you is the one we had from a listener during our live show where she was like roofied and sexually assaulted and then
Right.
like hasn't told that person that they have a kid. And I think in that case, like, no, that's totally justified.
Well, and that's like what I meant,
Yeah.
like the criminal
Yeah.
or
I
something.
think it's so dependent on every situation. I think that's like all of life. There's so much gray area. It's never black and white. And so I think it really depends on the situation. But no, I think like I don't think a lot of people don't tell the person. I think it's kind of the
Yeah.
exception to not tell because you might need support or you might not want to go through it alone. You might need financial support, whatever.
Well, it's not like out of the blue. She came up and was like, guess what?
Yeah.
You have a kid. And he's
Yeah.
like 6 or 7 or whatever, 8.
8. 8.
But to slowly catch on to it like that.
So what are the odds that their kids became friends?
And the timeline works out.
Yeah. That gives me small town vibes. Like they must have stayed in like the same small town. Like she was an alumni working at the school. No one really leaves. And they happen to be at the same elementary school and happen to be friends. Like, so
It is pretty crazy.
So wild. So there's an update for this one.
Okay, good. Yeah, it was a little short.
A lot of people were like telling him to get like a secret DNA test. And so he put an edit. Stop
Is that
telling.
cool?
Not like someone you don't think is No, it's not. Like,
Well, to go back, I guess, before we go to the update, if this happened to me, I mean, the curiosity would drive you crazy.
you'd have to
Y
know. You'd have to find out.
Especially if you're like, "Yeah, he looks like it, yeah, acts like it, the mannerisms are there, the smile is there, the eye shape,
Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a
and the
duck.
timeline." It's
Yeah.
just and guess who her mom is?
Yeah. So he edits, stop telling me to covertly get a DNA test on a minor without anyone's consent.
Right.
Um, I can't, yeah, no, it'd be illegal. Like, especially if it turns out it wasn't his kid. But one of the top comments is, if you want to know for sure and you are prepared for the consequences, then you have to talk to her. If you truly want to know him and be in his life, then you will probably need a court ordered paternity test.
Right, because at this point, if she hasn't wanted to tell you until now, if you go approach her and say,
Yeah.
"What's the deal?" Who's gonna say she's just like, "Nah."
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too that she didn't. It's kind of like she's already dug herself into the hole, like by not telling him after 8 years, almost nine, because
I guess it
like
gets
the
harder.
gestation period, it gets harder and harder. But I think when she saw like, oh, he has a kid around the same age as me, like he's a dad as well, he would probably want to know his son. I think like
Yeah,
that was kind of an in. Like once you started seeing him at car pickup, you should have been like, hey,
right.
so can we talk? Like,
To the kid?
no, to the dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah. Okay, yeah.
so he replies to that and he's like, I'm prepared to be there for him and help provide for his life, but worried that I'm thinking more about what I want rather than what might be best for him. Like, I want to find out if he's mine and be in his life, but what if that ruins, but what if that ruin, I was trying to say
No, that
ruins.
was good.
Well, now I said it right.
Yeah.
But what if that ruins his home life or stability? It just sounds wrong.
Yeah, but I think, like, in in many previous episodes, there more often than not, there's that longing and that searching to find who is my dad.
Yeah, I think this kid would wonder down the road.
And so now, honestly, at 8 years old, sounds like an okay time to it's kind of like it gets worse the longer it goes, if that is the case.
Absolutely. Someone goes, "Do you know how condoms work?"
Wow.
Mean, mean. Sometimes they don't work, people. Never 100%. Never. Update. Are you ready?
Well, I thought you were like, "Nah, they don't just slip off. That doesn't happen. That's not a thing."
They can slip off, but okay.
Oh, it just slipped off.
Exactly. So Justin's referring to this War of the Roses story, or it was just like a call in, but
Yeah.
from
Shout out Dave Ryan.
shout out Dave Ryan, but it was from Dave Ryan's morning show. And this guy called and he's like, 3 years ago, I made a mistake and I had sex with my coworker. And he was like trying to tell the radio people, like, I'm not a skeezy guy. It was
Mhm.
an accident. Like, I just happened to have a condom in my jacket. It was an old jacket, an old condom. It just happened to be in my jacket that day that I decided to fuck my coworker. Oops. And then, oops, the condom slipped off. Oops, she got pregnant. I haven't told my wife. And
In, like, 2 years.
yeah, the kid's 2 now, but like again, gestation period. You got 9 fucking
Yeah,
months.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So this man was like trying to be whatever. So he told his wife and the wife left him. But it's like they had been married for 2 years. He cheated with a coworker and now they've been married a total of 5 years. The kid was like almost 3 or something. It was like 2 or 3,
Yeah.
but again, like don't put all your eggs in that basket. But side note, so for the update, I guess I was right in the end. He's mine. This whole freaking time, I had another kid.
That's crazy.
Lucky that his mom was willing to talk to me about this. It wasn't easy not doing this in front of the kids, but I managed to ask her to meet up alone to talk. When I asked her the obvious, she started crying. And she said when we broke up, she found out about the pregnancy, but thought her boyfriend back then was the father. But she revealed the cheating to him, and they did a paternity test after she gave birth. He wasn't the father, so he left.
Damn.
Then she didn't want to say anything to me because we weren't in contact anymore, and she knew I didn't want to see her again. So she thought at the time maybe I'd reject my son. Holy fuck, was I pissed. When we were talking about this, I was half yelling / crying over the whole thing, no matter how many times she told me sorry for assuming I wouldn't want anything to do with him. That act still made me miss out on my son.
True.
Because now we were in this sort of fucked up scenario of our kids being friends and not knowing he's also my kid. My ex still hasn't stopped apologizing. I'm trying not to stay mad at her. She seems like she really regrets it, and so far she's agreed to everything I've asked. Paternity test, for starters, where we get the proof I'm his biological dad, wanting to spend time with him, let him know I'm his dad. None of this has been easy. The kids seem to be having a better time adjusting. My son just thinks it's cool right now to suddenly have a big brother. But I think when that excitement wears off, there will be more stuff to deal with.
Yep.
My eldest is more shy around me. Back then, he didn't really care. She already told him I'm his dad, and we did a one on one meeting recently. Got to know him better and do something together, just me and him. It was a nice time. He still comes over with my son so they can hang out, or I see them together after school. Guess for me, it's been hard seeing him and knowing we still have a long way to go to building an actual relationship. I wish we could have had that since the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm It's still so trippy thinking about it though. My son unknowingly became friends with a kid he didn't even know was his half brother. Then what if I knew about him back then? Would my youngest even exist right now if she would have told me? My mind goes down the rabbit hole with that one.
That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because what if he would have tried to make it work with her?
Right.
I didn't even consider that. That's weird. But again, everything happens for a reason.
That's right.
Most times, at least. Most times. At least this hasn't affected their friendship. I'm hoping it stays strong the more I get to be a part of his life and he becomes more a part of our lives. That's it.
I like it. I
It's
think,
a good wow.
yeah, and he
Wow.
just seems like a good dude. To be almost sad that, well, not almost sad,
He's
just
sad.
to be
Yeah.
regretful of not having that time already with
Hmm.
his other kid.
Yeah. He feels like he missed out.
And I wonder too if she, if the mom had picked up on the fact that the two kids were friends, and she just like, I wonder if she was waiting for this. I wonder if she knew it was kind of coming or had any, idea at all, because just to instantly start crying kind of seems like she felt like it was coming, or she had
Hmm.
some, even if the fact that she knew that his kid was the one their kid had just become friends with, and that they were hanging out and stuff. I wonder if she was just building up that.
She was probably building up courage too. Like, I feel like the way that she just like broke down right away, like she's been waiting to tell him. Like
That is true.
she probably really wanted to tell him, but just
Right,
like
because it,
again, it ended bad, and then like there probably wasn't a good time. So
yeah, because it was either going to be like a try to cover it up again and
yeah,
deny, 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 but it was like it did kind of feel like a
yeah,
relief.
totally agree. Super shitty on her, like bad wow that she like
Hmm.
kept it from him for so long because he does seem like a really good guy. Like this isn't one of those cases where like no, the dad deserves not to know.
Right, you're not it's not a child endangerment situation or a you endangerment situation. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem,
No.
from what we know, but that's what I mean. Like at first I'm thinking, what is the obligation and where does that line fall? Or even what's the law around that, or is there? Cuz I
I don't know.
definitely understand that there's situations where, whether, safety or even other things,
Yeah.
it's it's probably better not to cross the line and tell someone.
Mhm.
But in this case, I'm just like, well, where does the obligation fall? Like, at what point? At this point, it feels like it was wrong.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
It's just interesting.
I don't know. I wonder if there are any laws around that. Like if you have to notify.
Yeah.
Let's look. Do you have to notify your partner if you become pregnant? I'm sure it's by state.
Right. But I guess at some point, too, some people would never find out. This seems like a special case where the kids became friends.
It's so wild. I still can't believe that. Yeah, nothing's really coming up. I probably don't have great search terms, but it's not coming up for like, do you have to tell
I just wonder, like,
the
if you were a
sperm
friend to this,
donor?
obviously there's, probably details we don't know, but
Yeah. Stayed there
I'm
for some
wondering,
time,
like, if
then went
this
out to
was your
visit his.
friend, would you
Mhm.
be like, you have to tell him? You got to
Yeah.
tell him. After the first paternity test is negative, and you're like, well, the only other guy I was with during that time is X,
Mhm.
you know who it is.
Yeah,
So I feel like as a friend, you'd be like, come on.
I know. Wild, but
It's interesting.
it is interesting, and it seems like they've got it all covered, and it's gonna be a good
Oh, yeah.
journey
I think
going
it's a good
forward.
thing now for sure.
Mhm.
It's just in that time.
He
Uh,
missed out for sure.
yeah,
It sounds like, and well, I think it would have been different too in, again, gray area, and there's no right or wrong answer with this one, but I think it would have been different if her boyfriend at the time would have stayed with her and just been like, I don't care that he's not mine. Like, I love you. We'll raise this baby together. But like,
that's tough.
he like didn't grow up with a dad. So I think not that anyone like needs to have a dad, like single moms fucking crush it all the time and like whatever. But I think it just kind of illustrates the fact like he went without when he didn't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, now,
my
now
head.
he will. Now he'll have it.
Yeah. Well,
But
and he's only 8. He's
well,
got
now he has a brother, maybe because of her choices.
exactly. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That little nugget might not have he might not have been splooged out. You know?
What?
I said that little nugget might not have been splooged out.
Yeah, what does that mean? Oh.
Splooge.
Yeah, that's graphic.
Well, I think we're mostly adults on this on this podcast.
Except for me.
Apparently.